So how do you get a point cloud and correlate the point cloud with an onion? I just want to give you a quick summary. Similar to what I talked about last episode, when we talked about point cloud and what is a point cloud, a bunch of dots on a screen that essentially formulate into a specific object. Well, it really depends on what kind of data sets you have. You have SLAM kind of data sets, you have different scanners that exist in the market. So when someone gives you a point cloud, this point cloud data set, whether structured or unstructured, becomes something that you're going to use down the road. So when someone says, I want to do a 3D scan, a lot of times when they say they want to do a 3D scan, they essentially want a deliverable. Some people, of course, will just ask for a 3D scan. But what do you want to get out of this 3D scan? And then they start talking about the problem. So when I talk about point cloud with people, I tend to look at what kind of problem do you have that correlates with the 3D scanner that I'm going to use to help solve your problem. And then it also helps me discern, do we use a SLAM kind of tech? Do we use something like a GeoSLAM? Do we use a NavVis? Or do we use something, I guess, newer in the market, the Flash? Or do we use something with more structured light? Or do we use a terrestrial laser scanner? Different scanners have different outputs of data and also different forms of accuracy. It's not like everyone has every kind of scanner because scanners are really expensive, but it's more about the different kind of scanners based on your specific problem. And then we talk about the deliverables you give. So once you understand the deliverables, then you can understand the output of the scanning data. So when people say, I need a 3D scan for here, you're like, well, what do you want to get out of that 3D scan? And that's a very, very important question. Let's bring up the onion. So I'm going to cut it in half. You're going to see what's going to happen. So if you see my slide here on the side, you see a circle and there's different layers of the circle. We have different kinds of deliverables. It really helps us to articulate what you want to get out of a scan. In one end, you can get a 2D floor plan from a scanner. In another end, you can get a 3D CAD out of the scan. And in the other end, you can get some form of analytical data, similar to this onion right here. The deeper you get into the point cloud, the more you understand how to compute information from the point cloud, one single scan can get you a lot of information. So when we sit down with people, we sit down with clients, a lot of times we ask them, what kind of data do you want? Okay, I want a 3D scan. Okay, perfect. From a terrestrial, SLAM, aerial, what do you want? I need a terrestrial laser scanning because the accuracy is this much. Perfect. Okay, once we understand the tolerance levels from the scanner data, I start understanding what do you need from us from a deliverable standpoint. So, well, I'm not sure if I need a 3D or 2D. So depending on their needs, a lot of times everyone wants 3D, but they're really comfortable with 2D, we make it 3D to 2D. What's more important is that we can tell them, hey, your investment that you got from the data set, you don't necessarily have to use us right now for 3D. We can make it 2D and then we can go to 3D. Now, I love to hear the comments below, understanding how do you push the 3D scanning data and what kind of layer do you take, but I tend to use the onion approach because the onion approach helps people conceptualize the data. And then once you invest in the data, you can then dissect different layers of that data. The first layer, which is the scan data, the second layer, which is the 2D CAD, the third layer, which is the scan-to-BIM or the 3D model, and then the fourth layer, the analysis, whether it's floor flatness, deviation, you want to compare cloud to cloud, you get a lot of information in one single go. Hopefully that helps you out. I want to show you two little websites here. This is the family business here on the iScano side, and the other side is also the 3D show. I'm trying to add more things. We have a bunch of interviews that we want to do throughout people in Canada and the United States, and some people in other regions in Europe too. Let me know in the comments below what you think. What do you think the next episode should be? And if you have any questions you want me to answer, more than happy to. I do this for an act of love on the industry. My name is Sebastian. Welcome to the 3D show, and I'll see you in the next episode.